Do you know if there's an origin?
That is another thing with my social anxiety that is horrible to live with, because I now can't go anywhere without me thinking, does this person think I'm fat? Is this person going to make a comment? Is this person going to say something which I don't like? I nearly quit musical theatre for good because he was so experienced. He told me who he'd spoke to before and he listed off criminals of who he'd worked with, and I just went, everything happens for a reason to make room for something else, because that thing happens for a reason. It is an endless cycle of things just happening because they are meant to happen. I don't speak to my friends about my mental health. They know that I struggle, but that's because they can see it. Do you know what? It's not a fear of anything. It's just generally we just don't talk about it. We just don't talk about it because...
Do you know if there's an origin or anything that had directly influenced
The industry, 100%.
the industry? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like the pressures?
Oh, yeah. Musical theatre's crazy.
Yeah.
Completely crazy. It's a completely different type of job, and that's where it kind of just originated, because it's just like you just like, it's a completely different atmosphere and stuff, and like everyone's constantly watching you.
Yeah.
And everyone's constantly judging, making judgments, and it's just kind of, it started from there really. When I first, went to Brit, that's where it really started, because you just become so socially aware of the industry.
Yeah.
Even though Brit was great.
Yeah, because you'd said it was the best 2 years of your
Oh,
life.
Brit was 100% the best 2 years of my life.
And yet it was somewhere that had sparked.
Oh, yeah.
That's so interesting that kind of it can still go hand in hand in that way.
I mean, there were ups and downs, obviously,
Yeah,
but I
of
still
course.
class that as my...
Of course.
Like, it was a good 2 years of kind of just, like, learning about a lot of different things. And that's what helped me, I think, in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's so diverse over there. And, you can be anyone you want to be. And I think that's great. And you kind of learn lots of different things about different people and learn to accept those things.
Something I've found is a lot of people who are doing this, a lot of people that I'm or have worked with, enjoy the fact that you can be whoever you want to be, because they don't enjoy being themselves sometimes.
Yeah.
And I kind of see that so frequently. Like people just want to use it as an escape, use performance as an escape. They're not happy necessarily with their own lives. And so them playing a character means they can...
Yeah, that's how I like to. I've explained it like that a lot of times.
Yeah.
It is like you get to step out of your own self, and then when you get home, you don't have to be for yourself for that long. And because if you're kind of like, sometimes, like, especially when you're getting critiqued on like yourself, like it becomes very difficult to be like, I don't really want to change that about myself. But when you're playing a character, you can mold and change and create it the way that people want, but also the way you can. Which makes it a lot easier to deal with, kind of like being able to shape that. But then when you're doing kind of like this is why I'm not a massive fan of dance. It's not that I don't like it, I'm just not very good at it.
Yeah, fair.
It just like, because you're changing the way that you're doing it, and I'm so just like, I hate change. It's too much change, too much.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a difficult one in terms of like creating a character, getting it, but it's how you get back in to yourself.
Yeah.
And that's where kind of it can go wrong, of being able to kind of switch out of playing a character and being yourself, because you can completely lose touch of who you actually are.
That's a very good point.
And you see it kind of now a lot in the industry, where people are just unable to just like control themselves because they're stuck in a character for so long. And I'd say that's a big thing that people get wrong. And not wrong, I think, trip up on.
What do you think about, and I'll explain this a bit more, but what do you think about people having unrealistic expectations? Because I feel like, me personally, I set myself crazy goals, short-term goals, not even long-term goals, crazy things that day, that week, that month, things that I want to do. I was like, I'm going to achieve this, I'm going to get this done. But they're unrealistic, and most of the time end up in not working out or in failure, or you don't get around to it, or you know, life gets in the way.
Mm-hmm.
And then that feeling of just disappointment of you just being like,
I wouldn't say anything's unrealistic though. Like realistically, no, I wouldn't. I think everything is realistic. It's dependent on how much work you want to put in, and that's a horrible thing, because sometimes you're not able, like you were saying, like with life and stuff, you're unable to put in that work.
Yeah.
So nothing's unrealistic. It's just how you can put in the work and how you can kind of develop and change and be able to put in the work that you really want. Like nothing's unrealistic. Like my dream is still to be in the West End.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm straight out of uni, and that goal may not be realistic for another 10 years, because I have to be in the industry, and that, you know, you develop while you're shooting. But realistic, there are no unrealistic goals. Everything is achievable. It's dependent on how much work you can put in, and that's always dependent on what goes on in your life. And that's where things feel unrealistic, but are not realistically.
Do you think that because things getting in the way, do you think then the disappointment that I think everyone probably faces day to day from kind of not achieving the things they set out, do you think that could be a big link into them being like not being happy with themselves and so enjoying playing characters?
Oh yeah,
I feel like there's a bit of
110%. Being in the industry is the toughest thing. I'd say it's harder than being at uni, and I thought uni was hard. The industry is so unforgiving, and I've only been out there for 6 months.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, not even that. Like, I finished my shows in June. Yeah, June. Yeah, it might have been June. Bit earlier than June. And it's now November, and I've already been chewed up and spit out by London.
And it's crazy that, like, in such a short amount of time, you've already experienced so much.
I haven't, like, and it's getting there as well. Like, you can get submitted for called auditions, but, like, most of the time, 9 times out of 10, with me, I've not had them. I've been lucky enough with the person I'm signed with, you know, tells me what I've been submitted for, which is, like, such a blessing. Like, she didn't have to do that for me, but she does, because she's a legend. And you know, you see things like that come into the West End, or like big shows and it says West End and the big director, she's like, oh, that gets your hopes up. And then 2 weeks will go by and you've not heard anything from it, and you're a bit like, oh, okay, well, that dream was kind of out the window. But then when you do get one, it's even harder, because then you're nervous about going to do it, and then you get into it and you're like, oh, I just want it, and you want it really badly. And you know, I've been in situations where I was that close, and didn't get it, and that is horrible. That is like so soul destroying, of being like, because with me, like, even shows that I did in third year, you manifest what you want to be, and I'm such a big thing of that, because it helps me like do as good as I can in, say, an audition room if I manifest the character that I want to play. So like when I did Rent in third year, I really wanted to play Mark. And from the get-go, like, I hadn't even been put in Rent yet. As soon as Rent was announced, I was listening, I was singing to Rent, because I wanted that musical so badly. And then I was lucky enough to play that part. But, you know, I've done stuff with that in terms of, like, an audition I did. It was coming to London, and it was really, really good. It was doing a tour, and I'd never really heard of it, but I started listening to the music, and I loved it on site. And I got into the audition room, and they gave us a script, and I loved it on site, and it was great. And then, you know, you got so far, and then it was a no. And I'd spent all that time researching, learning, you know, watching so many things on how to be the character that I wanted to be. And then for it to be like, you know, maybe not this time. And you're just like, oh, I just spent kind of 2 to 3 weeks of my life manifesting this dream for it to just stay there.
Yeah.
Like that's horrible. Like that is soul destroying. And you just like, you want to give up at every turn, but then I don't know what it is. I don't know how we do it. I really don't. I think there's so much rejection in the industry that you just kind of get used to it. Like, nothing's good. Nothing. You're not gonna get anything out of it. That's how you have to. You've got to earn it. Nothing is ever given to you in the industry, and that's what I learned the hard way.
Yeah,
I learned a very hard way.
I guess you need to develop quite a thick skin to be able to cope with.
Yeah, 100%.
Would you say that you've found a coping mechanism yet, or are you still in the
no,
process?
and I don't think I ever will.
Yeah,
I don't think I ever will. I nearly quit musical theatre for good because I had a job at a Tesco's, but I was a leader, like a manager, shift leader manager, and I was getting paid really well there, but I was doing 50 hours a week, but it was okay, and the money added up.
Yeah,
and I got to stay at home with my family, and I got the money, and I just went, do you know what? I reckon I could do this for another 10 years, and then move on to something else and kind of build myself up. And I kind of thought, oh, do you know what? If I build myself up, then I can earn more money and I can work less. And you're just like, I was so close just packing it in. And then I kind of was like, no, I can't. So I left, and I had another job that I could go to, but I left, and I was like, look, I'm going to focus on this full time. And, 2 weeks after that, I got a job, and I was like, yeah, that's the best decision. That's the best decision I've ever made.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just gone from there, really. And it was just like, like, I nearly packed it in because I got to the point where I didn't have a thick skin. I was ready to just pack it in because I was just like, do you know what? I can't do this anymore. I can't physically feel like this anymore. I just want to live a normal life. I just wanted to, like, work like a normal, I say normal job. I wanted to work a normal job.
That makes sense. No, I think everyone watching would understand what we mean by normal. Like,
yeah, I wanted to work a normal job and then work and go, do you know what? Like, I want to do this life now because it just feels like a lot easier on my body. But it wasn't, because working 50 hours a week is horrendous.
Yeah, sounds grueling.
Absolutely horrible. But, what you do like, people do anything for money.
Yeah.
And for that type of money, I definitely would.
I guess for the industry, then, it's just all about taking risks, being brave.
Oh, you have to.
Being able to live in the uncertain.
You have to. Like, I don't live in London, but I spend half my life up here because that's the risk I take. The risk of spending money and travelling and waking up at stupid o'clock to go anywhere and everywhere to make sure I'm in this industry. Like, the job I'm working at now, like, the schedule's really good, but like, I live 45 minutes away, and round the M25 at like 7-8 o'clock on, Monday mornings, and sitting in traffic for an hour. Like, that's the risk I take, and that takes a massive toll on your mental health. Like, driving in London is horrible.
I've heard lots of stories, yeah.
I would not recommend it. I wouldn't recommend it. Honestly, just don't do it. Just don't do it, because it's a waste of money and it's a waste of time. Well, it's not a waste of time going up to the rehearsals, but sitting in traffic is a waste of time.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Like, and there's always someone who's had an accident, or there's just so many people. There's just so many people on the roads. Mm-hmm. And like, but as soon as I get into the rehearsal space of this new job, all of that goes away, because, I love this job.
And that's what matters.
Yeah. Honestly, it doesn't matter what it was. It's a job in the industry, and lucky enough I get to travel with it as well. But like, I've just really just settled into, like, I'm now in the industry. I'm now doing this, and yeah, it's just great. I absolutely love the job. I think it's brilliant.
That's really good.
No, yeah,
really, really good. I think we should probably do the introductions of yourself now.
Yeah, sure.
I'll probably just keep this kind of rolling. I don't think this episode is appropriate to be edited much. So do you want to introduce yourself? Kind of like who you are, where you're from, talk maybe about going to Bird. Yeah. It's kind of all of that stuff.
Yeah, okay. I'm Tom Handley. Graduated Bird in 2023. I hate saying the word graduated. It just doesn't feel real. From us, well, Bagshot in Surrey, but so it's near Ascot, so not too far. And yeah, studied at Bird 3 years, joined COVID. So I was one of not the last years, but we had COVID quite ripe. That was scary. But yeah, graduated bird now and just professional job, and yeah, just kind of just chilling really. Just it just feels good. You know, to say I've graduated uni, just like is something like on the back of the mind you grow up saying.
Yeah,
just like I'm gonna graduate, and now I actually have. So
it's big achievement in itself.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of getting
100%.
through. Because wherever you go, whatever drama school you're at, it's probably going to be grueling, and lots of them for different reasons. But I think a lot of time also for the same reasons. I think we're starting to notice a shift with the drama schools, and they're kind of in recent years having a bit of a change, bit of an upgrade in terms of the way that they approach things. And I think a lot of their practices beforehand weren't necessarily the most healthy, and this is very general. And I mean, you've got a lot of experiences from where you've trained that kind of we can talk about. 100%. And again, I think what's important is like it is just drama school. Like
100%.
It's just kind of what people experience, and it's not necessarily correct. And I think there's lots of things that are going to change for the better and have changed.
I don't think you can ever be prepared for drama school. Coming into like first year, I don't think you can ever be fully prepared to what you're going to experience. And I'd say that's probably the only subject in the country that you could say that about. You know, I don't want to like put disrespect on any other jobs, but if you're going as a paramedic, you know what you're getting yourself into.
Yeah.
You know what you can say things are horrendous and what you can see is horrendous, but you know one day that's going to happen.
Yeah, you're prepared for
with
it.
Musical theatre. You can never prepare yourself for it's just so
mentally taxing.
Yeah, and it's also so like random.
Okay.
It's so random. Anything can happen at any time. Unexpected. That's the word.
Unexpected.
Everything is unexpected in musical theatre.
Yeah.
You can never, ever, ever expect the unexpected.
Yeah.
Like that's what you have to do in musical theatre, because everything can pop up last minute or nothing can.
Yeah.
But musical theatre is a tough industry, and one that's not talked about enough of how many people do it and how tough it actually is to be a performer in like any aspect of musical theatre, whether it's dancing and acting, performing. No one. You're never prepared for it ever.
I just think it's why conversations like this are important, because they're not necessarily had, and I hope that episodes like this kind of encourage people to talk, whether it's with family or friends, just about like what's going on. What are you experiencing? I think I was in a way quite lucky coming in because I had no expectations. I wasn't a kid who'd been dreaming of doing musical theatre their whole life. It was the last couple of years. I'd shifted from contemporary dance, into enjoying musical theatre. It's why I started, because the limited experience I had, I enjoyed. And so I just came being like, I'm like, there's going to be tough training and whatnot, but I have no idea what I was going to expect. And I think a lot of people who maybe do it their whole lives, they have like this idea in their head of it's going to be this perfect, straight out of High School Musical, like it's going to be great and so much fun, which it is, but not every day, not every hour.
I think it, for me, it was inspired by teachers that I had at doing like stage school and stuff. I'd seen them do it. They'd gone into Les Mis and other musicals like that, and I was just like, what, I can do that. I want to do it. And then just kind of, I never ever thought of the bad things when I was younger that would ever lead up or come to it, and then they all hit you, and you're like, okay, that's I never was told about that. Was never ready, and no one's ever going to tell you, because you never. When you tell people about kind of like rejection and stuff, like people are like, I'm really sorry, like I hope you're okay. But like I don't think there's ever anything that can be said after rejection that you could be like, oh, do you know what? I never thought of it that way. Like it still happened. And you can always think of it positively. Like if you get through rounds and then you get cut, you could be like, oh, I made it through, but you still didn't get it. And you're just like, but that's the goal. There's one goal, and that's to get a job. And when you can't get that job, it's just like an endless like circle of job hunting.
Yeah.
Like I find it difficult to try and find a side job when I'm not working. And I hate looking for jobs because like I never know what I want to do. Like do I want to go to this? Do I want to go and do bar work? Do I want to go and work in retail? Do I want to do this? I don't want to do any of it. I want to sit at home. I want to sit at home and be able to do musical theatre and just go to auditions. But that is not how life is, unfortunately.
Yeah. I guess it's kind of growing up and starting to realise what life is really like, and like what for some people, people talk about it, and I'm like, are you sure that that's what life after uni is going to be like? Because I've heard some pretty wild stories about like how tough it is.
Oh,
and,
it's
it's starting to kind of to realize like you're gonna have to do a bit of everything just to get through.
Yeah, and it's meant to be like adult life, but I'm not an adult. Like no way. I had to apply for my first like tax number this month, and I still don't know how to do my tax. Like it's just like you feel like you're meant to be an adult. I'm just a big kid.
Yeah.
I really am. Like I want to sit at home and watch telly, and
so true.
Like I'm still a big kid, like, and I like geek out on like Marvel and Star Wars and stuff, and like I still like, they're not kiddie things, but I'd like guilty pleasures. Like I do feel like a big kid in such a big adult world, and like I remember looking up to like kids around my block who were like 16 when I was like 9. And going, oh my god, they're so old and mature.
I got the same thing.
And then I look at myself now, like, I don't get it. I'm not 20. Like, I'm not 22. I'm still like this 16-year-old kid. Yeah. Well, I'm not, but it's like I'm not an adult. Like, and I think with this job coming up, it's gonna really test my adultry of like, are you a big kid now, or are you able to step into a professional world as a professional and then step out of it? Yeah. But no, just like I just being an adult scares the hell out of me.
Yeah.
Like even the tax thing, I was like, yeah, I'll be fine with it. And I still haven't. My brother was saying, he was like, oh, and my dad, he was like, oh, you got to go and get an accountant. I was like, what? Like an accountant? I was like, I need one of them now. It was just like, oh, am I going to need a lawyer next week or something? And just like all these big adult grown up things. And I just like, but I'm not ready for that. I don't know what to do. But like, it's happening now. So it's not going backwards. It's only going forwards from here. So you've got to kind of just like learn to be an adult and just kind of, just settle into life in that way. Because, education is done now. That's I think that is the craziest thing. To me, that has never sunk in. Is that education, like proper education. Yeah,
because you're always learning, but actual like, paying to be taught something, that's finished.
Yeah, and I have like creatives that I work with, and I think they are absolutely quality, and they are brilliant creatives. But like, it's like almost looking at them and going, "You're not my teacher. You're not technically my teacher anymore, but you also technically are. But like, you're not a teacher at school. You're a teacher at a job. So you're technically my boss. So it becomes all a bit like, I'm not ready for this at all. I'm really not. And but no, like that's a big thing of coming out of uni. Life hits you just so quick, and I think it's hit me hard in 6 months, but it can only get harder kind of as you go through life. But it's just, that's life, innit? It just is what it is.
Yeah. I'm in that weird kind of transition phase where like I'm not an adult, but I'm trying to be. And it's like technically you are an adult, but at the same time, you're still a big kid. Whereas I'm not an adult, but I am trying to be. And I had to do this council tax exemption the other day. And I was like, I can do this on my own. I was like, I can do it.
No, that's so true.
It got to 20 to midnight the day that it was due. And I was like, Mom, I can't do this.
I can't do it.
Yeah, too many problems.
I remember in second year, my flatmate did it for me because... Yeah. Well, she was offering to do it for the flat because we just wanted to get it done. But there was a point where I was just like, I don't even know who to talk to. I don't know who to email.
it ended up being so confusing and like, what am I doing wrong?
Even filling out the self-assessment form was just like, I'll click that one.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's the one I need.
Yeah.
And even asking my parents, I was like, is this the one? He was like, and then, like, bless him, my dad was trying to talk to me about it, and I had no clue what he was talking about. So I just went, okay, and just said that. So luckily it worked, but those are the things like they're just part of life now.
Yeah, it's true. Like, you don't get taught that stuff. And so it's
But to
hard,
be
but
fair,
it's
Bert did quite a good job of actually kind of letting you know what it's going to be like. We learn it in third year.
Okay.
It's not that I didn't listen, it's that I just like maths and legal stuff always confuses me, contracts and things like that. It's just like that was always going to be confusing, of just kind of like, oh, I've got to sign and read all these terms and conditions, and you know, some of them might say big words that I just don't understand, or some of them are going to say things that I don't like, and it's just like, it's just learning to be able to kind of, yeah, be an adult, and you know, you never really are ready for what it's going to be like, and you just have to learn day by day, really.
Yeah. No, I mean, I totally agree with that. I mean, I'm 4 years younger than you. You're 22, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm 4 years younger than you, and I feel like already I'm starting to like experience some of this, and I just know that it's going to continue for the next many years. And at 26 odd, I still won't be feeling like
no way,
ready.
No way. The thing is, when I turned 21, I was like, oh Christ, this is it.
Yeah.
And I'm 22 now, and I'm just like, nope.
Yeah.
No. And it hasn't, and yeah, it's just like, I don't know why it is though. Like, even living away from home, I didn't feel like an adult. I felt like a kid on holiday for 3 years. And like, now I live back at home with my parents, so I go, I still feel like a kid because I'm living with my parents and I have my own room, and you know, like, yeah, I still just feel like a big kid, and just living under my parents' roof makes me feel even more like a kid. Just being like, yeah, I still live at home with my parents. I mean, that's not a bad thing. Like,
it's quite realistic.
It's so realistic nowadays. You know, even after this cruise, like, I'll still be living with my parents. I've made that choice for the sole reason is that I will still not have enough money, and that's not a contract or a pay for. It's generally just how expensive life is at the moment.
Oh yeah, the housing. I mean, I'm just interested in things like this, and so I'm always looking into it. But the amount of money that you need nowadays just to survive on your own.
I was lucky because with my student loan, my parents have supported me crazy amounts, like more than I ever asked for or expected. Like, they really helped me at Bird because, you know, they helped with the flat, you know, because the flats that I went, there's no way, like, in today's day and age, you can get a student loan and pay all your flat stuff off, and then also have money for food, and also have money for like safety drive, petrol. Like, student loans pay for your tuition and give you a bit of extra money, but if you've not got the money with you, it is physically impossible to go to uni. It is physically impossible to go to uni.
Yeah, my maintenance loan doesn't cover
especially my maintenance loan didn't cover this place.
Yeah,
at all.
Make up the difference, and then still pay for food.
It's not, you can't do it. And even if you get a side job, which, you know, most of people did, but like, some people were lucky not to have a side job, and they can just kind of get through it. You know, I went through 4 jobs over here. One because it was just like I was looking to move and build up and do different things. But like, the recent job I've been working at since February. I was working up at Harrods, like selling aftershave and perfume, because they were really flexible. It was like agency work. But even then, like, I lose the first 2 hours of my shift because I'm spending 10 quid on travel, and then up there you have to, like, it costs an arm and a leg for food. And you're losing the first 2 hours of your 8-hour shift, which is meant to be paying you 80 quid.
Yeah.
And you're spending 20 of it on having to actually just survive the day.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of the time, like, especially at drama uni, when you got home, just like, I just wanted to go to bed, but I had to eat something, so you get takeaway. Like, I almost forgot how to, like, live without like eating food.
Yeah.
Like, that I didn't cook. Like that is generally just a struggle of, and even with that, that's just more money. So everything is so expensive nowadays.
Yeah.
And you know, it's just like, it's ridiculous. It is generally ridiculous, and it's just going to keep on going up, and it's just going to become more difficult. And to be honest, that's one of the main reasons why I took a cruise, because I'm not saying it's all paid for out there, but like, I don't have to worry about how expensive it's going to be on there, because everything's going to be an okay price because we work there. And like, we go into different countries who, you know, like, you know, I'm not going to be spending stupid amount like I do in London.
Yeah.
I went into London. I was in Wembley yesterday, I think.
Oh, that's where you're currently living.
Is it? I went into Wembley yesterday because our rehearsals are in Acton. Just like, it's still northwest though. So, yeah, we went into Wembley, and for a pint of San Miguel, it was £6.10. And I was like, you know, I remember when I turned 18, it was before COVID. Everything, I'd say that was like still decent price. I can get a San Miguel from Spoons for £3.65. And I went up into Wembley, and yeah, albeit it's Wembley, but like £6.10. I was just like,
yeah,
what?
You can get a 4-pack of alcohol for
£6.
£6.
But even now, like a 4-pack of alcohol for £6 is ridiculous. You know, for me, there should be the £4.50 at most. I always remember this, because this is where I think the country went downhill. Is out the Co-op, they used to do 3 beers for £5, and they weren't just 3 beers; they were the 3 just bigger than the pipe bowls, like the actual ones, and they used to be 3 for £5. They're now 2 for £5, so you get a less beer for the same price. Yeah. And that's not me saying I'm an alcoholic or anything, but like, whenever, like, especially when you're 18, you like go out every weekend.
Oh, I try not to. But...
Well, unfortunately,
most people do.
I was very different.
I'm 19.
You're free.
I was about to say, like, I've only been 18 for a year.
I was about to say, you're 3 years. You're definitely not 4 years younger than me.
In my head, I'm 18.
Oh no, don't worry. When someone asked me my buying all things an energy drink I got ID'd for, and they were like, "How old are you?" And I was like, 21, and I was like, "Hold on, sorry, no, ask me that again. I'm 22," and I just kind of forgot I even had my birthday.
Yeah, I've forgotten.
There's a new psychology study that's come out called the pandemic skip.
Yeah.
And it's young people and how lots of young people now feel like they are younger than they are. So if you were, for example, I was 14 when the pandemic started.
That's ridiculous.
And
yep. And
if you don't mind me asking, how old are you now?
I'm 18.
That's
ridiculous. Right?
Yeah, and so there's been a lot of studies of saying, like, people who, I mean, everyone experienced the pandemic, but especially people who were in those like fundamental years of development in the pandemic are facing this thing called the pandemic skip, where mentally they're a lot younger.
Oh yeah, I completely agree with that.
Are in life, because obviously, like, the 3 of us were all in very like developmental stages.
I was 18 in COVID. Because I just had my 18th birthday in October before the pandemic started. So I was 18 and I'm now 22. And no, I completely agree. Because we just spent all day inside.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh yeah. I don't know how many hours of Fortnite and FIFA I played.
Yeah,
but I woke up at 2:00 in the afternoon because I'd been to sleep at 2:00 in the morning.
That was the life.
You know, yeah. I remember once I sat up with my mates playing. We downloaded Monopoly on my PlayStation.
Nice. Okay.
We all did, and we played for 7 hours. We played a game of Monopoly for 7 hours because there was nothing else to do.
Ridiculous. Yeah, Among Us. I really got into Among Us.
I never got into that.
Oh no, I still play it. I can't lie.
I never got. I don't
and
know
I consume
why.
gaming. I don't game much, but I don't really anymore. I'm too busy. But I consume when I come home. I'm tired. Right, you're shattered after your long day.
Yeah.
I just lie in bed. I stick on some sorts of Sidemen gaming, anything like, just to because I'm just dead. I've got no energy to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
I think you were saying about like you coming home and not having energy and just ordering a takeaway. I've been pretty good with doing prep meals.
No,
And
yeah.
it's been a really good cheat in terms of efficiency.
Yeah, I'd do it for about a week and then I'd stop because like I'd be like, oh, I'm gonna cook chicken. I'm gonna cook chicken this week, and then I'd watch a video on TikTok. I'd be like, oh, that'd be a good prep meal to have, and then just like I'd get to it. I'm just like, no, can't be asked, and just like it's just like the weekend. Like, even at the weekends, like when you're at drama school, like my weekends was filled with working because in the week I wouldn't be able to work because I'm at uni and then I need money, and it was just an endless cycle of, do you know what, I'm going to try this for a week. Oh, and I've quit that. And it was just like, I very recently got back into my gym work. It's kind of had to take a bit of a stop now because I'm in rehearsals, and when I'm in rehearsals I get home really late, or like I want to lie in if I start late. Because like they're so intense, so I've had to kind of stop. But I kind of did like 6-7 weeks of just like going to the gym basically 3-4 times a week, because it was the one thing I wanted to get back into, because I love my gym. I love my sports and my athletic like stuff and gym, and like I wanted to just get back in there and be like, oh, do you know what? Like, it gave me something to do whilst kind of in the rehearsal, waiting from when I had the job to actually start the rehearsal period. I was like, right, I really want to get in shape. But like, even now, I'm just kind of like, life's got in the way again. Like, with, you know, small things like prep meals, like, I was very easy to let life get in the way or something get in the way and actually just stop myself. Like, I tried to do the gym up at uni, and it was so difficult. So difficult.
I haven't even tried.
No, and, you know, I remember when I started Rent, it was the first day of Rent, and I went, do you know what? Whilst I'm in Rent, I'm going to wake up really early, I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to eat all this healthy food. It lasted a day.
Crazy.
Because I woke up at 6 o'clock, I went to the gym, I did my first day of Rent, I was exhausted, and then I was like, I'll get up and go to the gym tomorrow. Set my alarm, and I didn't wake up because I was that tired.
Yeah.
And I was just like, you know what? I actually cannot do this.
It's realistic, though.
No, it is realistic, but I found myself giving up way too easy. I could have done it if I really, really wanted to. I really, really wanted to. And that's what stopped me, really, like, because realistically I wasn't willing to put in the work.
Yeah, but again, you know, it is what is realistic, and some things are possible but just aren't realistic. Like, just like, that's such an insane thing to do.
That's what I've learned, to be true to myself. And if I actually cannot physically put in that work because of something going on, I'm not going to push myself, because that's in this moment in time, I don't want to push myself beyond what I think I'm actually capable of, because I'm starting to have to relearn how to kind of put in that work and go, do you know what? I do want to work at this work rate, because, you know, it just got to a point where I was just like, I'm not even trying. And yeah, that was what it was, really. It just got to that point of, oh, do you know what? I don't want to do it anymore. But no, going back to this kind of topic of living in this country, or living at uni, it's horrendous. It's horrendous. It's horrible, and it's so expensive. Yes. You know, everywhere you look, and I mean, Sidcup's a nice area. I think Sidcup's a nice area.
I agree. I
think Sidcup's a really nice area. I think it's very expensive, though. It is very expensive, and I'm very lucky in second year to find a really, really lovely flat at a really, really cheap price of, like, I think it was like $480 a month between, and that was like, it was a four bedroom house on top of, do you know where Boyle's is in Sidcup? You know that little Irish bar?
I haven't actually explored.
Down by Papa John's?
I honestly haven't explored the
yeah. It's down there. It's by the station, and it was opposite that, and it was like on top of like an office. But it was a two-story like apartment with a massive front room, massive kitchen, two bathrooms, 2 showers, everything, and 4 bedrooms upstairs. One of them was a bit smaller. One of the bedrooms was quite small. But there were 2 big bedrooms, and I was lucky enough to be in kind of the second of the big bedrooms. I think the other one was bigger than mine. And then there was like a smaller bedroom which you could fit a double in, but it was quite tight. And then there was another where you just couldn't fit a double in. It had to be a single.
Mm-hmm.
But that was $480 a month, and that is the biggest bargain I've ever had.
Yeah, because
and it was a great house. It was so good. It was so good. But I got hit straight back down to earth in third year because I think we ended up paying 725 in my third year.
Yeah, I'm in the 800.
That wasn't.
Near
I mean,
900.
well, yeah. My first year here wasn't cheap. And that was in COVID as well.
Yeah.
I did like here though. I had a quality flatmate. He was great. He was in third year when I was in first year, so I only knew him for a year.
Mm-hmm.
But like, it was so good here. It was so good here. Like, but it was expensive. Yeah, it was hella expensive.
The location's good. Like it's easy.
Oh, it's the best location I think.
10 minutes away from.
10 minutes away from Bird, and then also you're in the middle of the high street. Like, it's food everywhere. You know, Morrison's is just behind you.
Yeah. it's true. I know it's okay. This is a very secure place. But
well, no, I'm joking.
Yeah, no, it's all right. That's cool. But very good point.
You're just in a good location.
Good location.
You're in a very, very good location.
Everyone knows that I go to Bird College and live nearby. And I talk about High Street quite a lot. I don't know what you think, but do you want to get into some of the deep topics?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure, man.
We've talked about loads of different things. But
100%. Let's do it.
Mental health is
man.
the topic that isn't being talked
of course
enough.
Of course.
Especially men's mental health. Like that is, I would say, quite overlooked. And it's starting to get a little bit of spotlight, but not really enough. And it's more of just like
it had a really good spotlight about 2 years ago in COVID, or 3 years ago in COVID. It had a really good spotlight, and it's not being forgotten at all. It's just like that. They had Men's Mental Health Month not too long. It might have been October or November. It is November. I think it was Men's Mental. I can't remember, but like, was it October?
Here's the thing. We don't know, which is, I think, the problem.
That was it.
But
yeah,
there
it was.
Really
it was.
Much done about.
I thought it was October or September. I feel like we've recently had it. I don't know. Because I definitely posted something.
Yeah.
I definitely posted at least 2 things. I just can't remember what I posted.
Yeah.
But it was definitely it was definitely before I start rehearsals. Yeah.
And like, you know, it is a massive, complex, you know, topic, and I think maybe that's why people avoid it.
Yeah.
But we're about to kind of tackle it.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure. I mean, we've both got kind of experiences.
Yeah.
You know, they'll all kind of differ, intertwine. November.
It is this month. Oh yeah, it is because it's Movember, isn't it? Oh yeah.
What?
It's Movember.
Oh, yeah. I've said I'm doing Movember, but that's just my.
I didn't do Movember this year. I don't really know why. I did Movember 2 years in the trot, last year and the year before.
Yeah, well, I'm trying, but like, it's not.
I won't do it because mine's awful.
Yeah,
I can't put myself through it.
Yeah.
Like, I think I obviously I support my own ways, but like, I can
Yeah.
I can hardly grow a beard. Like, I wouldn't say this is like my mate's beards are so much better than mine.
Well, you've got more than what I've got. Like, I'm dealing with very much.
But like,
scruff.
I can't do it. I can't grow a mustache because it does not suit me.
That's fair. It's not there for everyone yet. And who knows? A couple of years time, you might be with a full on. I think before we kind of get started, I think we should address the elephant in the room, which is I did get a haircut about a couple of hours ago, and it has been the biggest change of my life recently.
Obviously, seeing your Instagrams, I was like, I was gonna have really long hair. When I walked in, I was like, is this the same?
Yeah.
I thought, to be honest, I thought you were the cameraman, and I was gonna meet someone else. You generally opened the door. And I was like,
Is that
that
him?
him?
Doing the camera work?
No.
Yeah.
It's alright.
I had enough. I'd grow my hair so long. It was man-bunnable, which is, I think, for me, quite impressive. I know this is off topic, but I feel like just
No, of course, why not?
funny. And I was just walking home from college, and I'd been thinking about it, and I was like, I'm just gonna have to search in barbershops. I just went to the first one that's nearby, and I was like, I'm just gonna, because the reason I was man bunning, when it's long, I have lovely curly locks. You know, they're brilliant.
Mhm.
But when I'm training, it gets to my face. It kind of brings me down. It lowers, in a way, weirdly lowers my confidence. My eyeliner's down. Everything kind of shrinks.
Oh, don't worry, mate.
And so
Yeah.
the man bun brought everything back and was like, I'm suddenly a little bit more like pulled back.
Yeah.
And it brings me up slightly. However, I didn't like the way it looked. I'm not yet a massive fan of this, but I'm sure it will grow on me. So I just said to the guy, get rid of it all.
Just get rid of it,
Shave around
yeah.
the sides, kind of have it curly
No,
going
yeah.
forwards, bring it nice and short so it's at the top of my
But I
forehead.
did that. I think a lot of boys have done that recently.
Yeah.
Because I used to have really long hair. Like it was like this. It's naturally curly, so it doesn't grow out. It grows up, and it gets like really like curly and frizzy. And in COVID, I was just like, my dad had. Well, I think we had some razors. My dad just shave it off, and he went, "What?" He went, "Just shave it off." And I had a buzz cut for 2 years, and then I tried to grow it back, and it's never been the same. But then you get used to it.
I think it's good at how it is now.
You get, thank you.
That's all right.
you get used to it. You get used to it. But yeah, you know, that might be it for the next few years, and then you might go, well, I might want a buzz cut. I wouldn't say don't get a buzz cut, but it was definitely the worst decision I've ever made.
Okay, fair. Yeah, I think it kind of links in well with like self-image and like identity and just feeling kind of comfortable in yourself. I mean, it's a lot for me to get used to because I was so used to having like just the most amazing long kind of, you know. Oh, sorry, I'm looking over there because there's a mirror, and I just can't stop staring at myself and being like, what the hell have I done? It was. I do things impulsively quite a lot. I don't know why. Hi, camera. And a lot of the time I just go like, well, let's just do it. Like,
yeah, why not?
Why not?
Just
Why
do it.
not? That was very irrelevant, but hey, I just thought I'd share. Bit of kind of lightheartedness before we really kind of get.
Yeah.
I don't know what the most appropriate way of starting.
I
This is.
don't. Neither. I mean,
Yeah, if you'd like to. I mean, this is very much kind of the course that you're on. You should probably lead this podcast.
Hello. I'm Kaitlin. I don't know if that's relevant. Anyway, I'm currently training at Central, and I'm on the Drama, Applied Theatre and Education degree. And so I do a lot of work with people in theatre or people who aren't in theatre, but we bring the theatre to them, who may be part of various work with all sorts of people who've experienced different mental health issues, people who our care experience has been something we've been doing a lot of work with recently, and it all, we've studied identity and national identity and all sorts of really, really interesting things. So I have to be we do a lot of training about how to hold a room and how to navigate people's different experiences, and making sure that all of these spaces where we run workshops are spaces that people feel like they are able to talk, able to like share their experiences and what they're comfortable doing. I know it's okay. I don't know if you want to start by talking about something that's similarly relevant and kind of like lead into it a bit more easily, and then we'll kind of come out of it the other side and
of course
talk about.
To be honest, with it, you talk about one thing, it's gonna go so many different directions. Yeah, you'll get a lot out of it. I don't know what.
That's all right. No, because it's sensitive. I think for me,
it's such a hard one to start.
Yeah,
it's so hard to start,
no,
but once you're in it,
but we're in an environment where we're going to. I'm not qualified to, I just enjoy having conversations.
Yeah,
think.
I'm not qualified, but I've had enough counselling and spoke to enough people to kind of not know what I'm talking about, but like to have that experience to be like, this is what it's like.
Okay.
But before today, how often do you speak to your male friends about your mental health? Like between guys, how often do you guys sit down and genuinely, if someone goes like, "How are you?"
Yeah.
When do you guys genuinely sit down and answer each other?
It depends on who you're with.
My first answer is just no, full stop. But you're someone who is
yeah.
passionate about it.
It depends on who you're with. I think it really does. I think it depends on the person and who you want to speak to about it. There are certain people who I can definitely talk as a man to man conversation. I can sit down and have a conversation with. You know, one of them's my brother. One of them's my dad. And one of them, a couple of them are like one of them's one of my best mates from Bird, and there's a couple of others. But the other time, no. There's interactions of, you know, how are you? You okay? What have you done today? Things like that. But I don't think I can count on my fingers how many conversations I've had about it. And it's just, do you know what? It's not a fear of anything. It's just generally we just don't talk about it. We just don't talk about it because I think it's just a boys' friendship dynamic. You know, like with my mates, what we do, we're on PlayStation together. We speak about games. We speak about football. We speak about funny things we've seen on the internet. You know, we go out and we speak about, you know, like other things, but we won't speak about like mental health because it's just like, I just think it's not something we really want to talk about. And it's not like we're not going to talk about if everything okay. Like, there is obviously such a stigma in the kind of, you know, the boys community that we don't speak about it, but I don't think I speak about it because it's just like I don't really want to speak to about my friends. Do you know? Like, I want my friends to be my friends and have a good time with my friends. And yeah, like I was very easily overconfident about talking these type of things to the wrong people. And by wrong people, I mean people that probably don't want to hear it. A lot of people don't. Because the situation with boys is, a lot of us have things going on, but we need to deal with ourselves and we don't want to hear about anyone else's problems because it just worries us about other things. But
Damn.
I just know. I don't.
That's right.
I really don't. And I don't know. It just feels like such a normal thing to say. Like, I don't speak to my friends about my mental health. They know that stuff is wrong with, not stuff. They know that I struggle, but that's because they can see it. That's because like I told them that I do because it was kind of like a warning, but like it was like I told them just because I wanted them to be aware, but I never speak about it. I never talk about, especially in a big group. If it's one-on-one, then I maybe slip a few things in about like how I am feeling, what's happened, but no way. And it's not anything on them. It's just a me thing. You know, I just wouldn't want to put that on them because a lot of people don't like to talk about it. And they don't want to hear sensitive stuff, and that's fair enough. That is fair. That is just life, really. And you know, I've been so used to that. You know, when people talk about men sit in silence, sometimes it is the best solution to sit in silence. Sometimes in those situations, you just want to be alone. You know, I could. In those situations, sometimes I could stick on my PlayStation, not talk to anyone, or watch YouTube, or like go for a walk by myself and put my headphones in, and you could generally just not care because you just kind of forget about it and just kind of go, do you know what? Like, I'm able to kind of not put it to the back of your mind, but kind of move on because you're just like, okay, that was a problem 2 minutes ago, and it's not a problem anymore. So time to move on. That's what I've had to get used to. Just moving on. Yeah. I move on very quickly. But I move on very quickly. I have to kind of take things day by day, and I try really hard not to hold on to things. I do sometimes, and I still do hold on to quite a lot of things. But those things are big events, like big things that changed my life, that I always think about. And I haven't been until recently, but I feel like everything. I'm not a religious man at all, but I'm. My friend started saying it to me, and I start to believe him of just kind of everything is God's plan. Everything happened for a reason. And I like to stand by that, because everything happens for a reason. Because everything happens for a reason to make room for something else, because that thing happens for a reason. It is an endless cycle of things just happening because they are meant to happen. But yeah, it's just like, no, I just really don't talk to my friends about it. Especially not anymore. I used to a little bit, but I don't think I've sat down with a friend in the last 6 months and gone, do you know what, today apart from one who we mutually do it, like, because we're best friends. But apart from that, I don't sit down with my mates and go, yeah, I'm not good today. I don't, because it's just not a thing, unfortunately.
Yeah. Your point about people maybe not wanting to hear it because maybe it could remind them, or like they've got their own things that they want to try and
scares
overcome.
people. It really does.
Which is maybe a big reason why these conversations haven't been happening much.
I've scared a lot of people off.
Yeah.
I've worried a lot of people. Like, some of my friendships with people will never be the same after some of the stuff they've seen or I've told them. Because some people are just genuinely scared. And especially in this industry as well, you got to think for yourself. And if you need to just back off of someone, then you do it for your own safety. And you can't be mad at that, because, like, it's just they're doing it for themselves. And I'm sure if someone had done it, someone said something to me that I worried them about, yeah, I'm quite a consoling person and check up on people, I think. But, like, with me, I had to kind of stand back and kind of focus on myself before helping anyone else. Mm-hmm. Because it was just really difficult. But yeah, it's just consoling other people is a really difficult decision to make, because especially with someone like me who struggled, like, you want to help people, but that leaves you in such a vulnerable place, especially with people who come to me with problems that I've experienced at quite a high level. I try my best. I really do. And it's never deliberate. Like, I really, really try hard to support everyone and anyone I can if they're going through something. But it's like what we were saying about uni earlier, is that life gets in the way. And sometimes you have to take the perspective of, if you were drowning and your mate was drowning, or if you were drowning and another person's drowning, and you had the chance to save yourself, would you? And in that situation, sometimes you've got to say yeah. And that's why I think men don't talk about it, because they'd rather save themselves. We're very selfish, but we're very selfish. I feel like a lot of us are, especially when it comes to this.
Is that a problem? Or?
No, I don't think it is. I think with what I said, it's just like, if you had the chance to save yourself drowning or saving someone else drowning, what would you pick? And in some situations, you have to just pick yourself.
Yeah.
You have to. Because if you don't, if you don't save yourself from drowning, you'll drown and die. And if you don't save yourself, you will end up going down a spiral, because you just forget about what was wrong with you, and you just almost not put it to the back of your mind, but you just let it affect you and just say it's a normal thing. It's a normal thing to feel this way now. But yeah, I think as mates go, and like with men, I think it's like, if you had to save yourself, would you? And yeah, in situations I've had to say yeah. Like, I will. It's not saying I wouldn't help anyone, but like, if something does get in the way, my support might go downhill a little bit, and that's because I'm also trying to support my own self.
Yeah.
But it was never anything deliberate. It's never anything deliberate. It's just generally because you have to look after yourself. And that's a big thing with men, I think, is looking after ourselves. Because we have to. Because, I mean, like you said about kind of like the question of do men sit down and talk about it? We don't talk about it to anyone. You know, like, I'm very open. I will talk about it to anyone. You know, I've got friends who've got relationships and they won't even speak to them about it. Because they just don't want to tell people. Like, you just don't. Because you don't want to worry anyone, but you also like want to save yourself so you can be the best version of you for someone else.
Which I think that's the important thing to realise is with your question about saving yourself or saving someone else. You know, you work on yourself, you save yourself, you're then able to then help more people instead of not saving yourself and just, you know.
You can save yourself from drowning and then save someone else.
Yeah, like, I think that is just a better way of thinking about it. You need to, if you want to be able to help your friends, your others, you've got to put in the time to work on yourself.
Yeah.
And that is challenging.
Oh, it's the hardest thing in the world to focus on yourself. And I think that just comes with social media.
Oh, yeah.
And social media. Yeah. And social media and more social media. Everywhere. It's absolutely everywhere. And it is impossible to focus on yourself now without looking at your phone and seeing what other people are doing in their lives. And you're going, oh, that's fun. And it looks great. But, you know, I'm at home struggling and I'm looking at you in the Bahamas.
Yeah,
and that's not like a firing a shot or anyone. That is just generally just like normally how it is. Oh, I'm sat at home crying and, you know, you guys are at the pub having a great time. Why can't I be like you? And that is genuine because you're just like, oh, I wish I was like that. But no, it's just social media just makes it impossible to focus on yourself.
No, I think you're so right. I mean, I had a moment like that the other day where I had work that I knew that I needed to get done. I decided I'm just going to stay at home, and I was seeing people posting about things that they're doing or shows that they're going to watch, or like these groups that they got together. I was like, oh, this looks so much fun. Like, I wish I could be doing that. And it was just reminding myself that like that's not them every single day. And I've had moments in the past where I have had fun, you know, and have put out posts similar to that. But then you have long periods where you are just with yourself.
No one's life on social media is true.
Yeah, and people don't post them just being on their own, doing
even
nothing.
my life on social media is completely untrue. It's just not me. It's not.
In what way would you say that?
It's just not. It just isn't. Like, I'm not quiet, but like I get scared very easily. I get very anxious very easily. That's never like it. Sometimes I feel like I come across a little bit too overconfident or too like, which I'm definitely not. Like when like I started posting pictures of when I went to the gym, and that is generally because like I was like, oh, I want people to see that I've been going to the gym. No one cares. Honestly, I don't know anyone that cares. Like, not in that way of just like, oh, I don't care that you went to the gym, but like it's not their life, so you don't look at it and go, oh, you know, like you don't look at it and go, oh, do you know what? Like like honestly, no one cares. No one cares, and I don't mean that in a bad way. It is just generally, you know, no one cares if like you've been to the gym for an hour today. No one, like, it's a nice thing for people to know, but like they're not gonna sit and dwell on it. Like, no, like stories or posts or Instagram, like when you do something like achievable, like that's great. Stuff like that on Instagram is really good, but like especially Instagram, like because it's supportive. But like just like I just feel like Instagram's such a fake world of people just not caring. Like, I respect people that not focus on it, but actually, like, there's some people on Instagram that I can watch forever. And, like, I think live a really true life on social media because it's really good. It is just true to them. It's who they are. And I fully respect that. But like people like me, like I'd say I write I put a lot of music on my Instagram because I write about it, and I just like I want you guys to hear what I wrote about. Like I want you guys to know that I did this and this is how I feel. But like realistically, no one's gonna take more than 5 minutes out of their day to kind of go, oh, do you know, it's just passing thought.
Yeah.
But that is just social media. It is just social media. Like I think Snapchat's the worst one.
I don't use it that often. I don't understand.
I spend stupidly long hours on that app. I think Snapchat is, I'm such an advocate of using these words, but I do not like them. Have I been left undelivered? Have I been aired? Have, this person only sent me a red snap, not a purple snap. They only sent me one kiss, not two. I hate that, but I sit and dwell over that type of stuff. It doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not personal, and it's not anything they do to hurt you, but it's just like so many messages are sent through Snapchat that, not like physical messages, like actual, like, you learn a lot about people on Snapchat. It's mental. I use Snapchat for group chats. I love my group chats on Snapchat. Like, they're, that's a good thing to have each day. I speak to close friends. But like things like stories, like I can sit there and watch stories for hours upon end. Because just like, you just look at what people are doing in other people's lives. And it gets back to the point of just like, you forget who you are.
Yeah.
You forget that you actually live quite a good life. You actually are having quite a good time.
So true.
Just because you're watching other people like go on dates or like
meet up with
friends and go and do cool stuff, like that. You just make yourself feel like, oh, I wish I was doing something like that.
Yeah.
But like,
because people only ever post the best bits of their life, and then you compare what they're doing now, which is the best bits,
mm-hmm.
to what you're doing now, which
mm-hmm.
is most of the time nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, oh, I wish I was as fun or as cool as them. But the thing is, when you're out doing fun stuff, chances are they're doing nothing.
Yeah, exactly. And it's an endless cycle of stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like, I like Facebook. I think Facebook's really nice. A lot of people don't like Facebook. I really like Facebook. I don't know why, but just like a lot of positive stuff, especially on my feed. Do you know what? I find Facebook like a family friend type of social media.
Nice.
Like everything for me is family or friends. And like family friends and like people that I know or went to college with, and it's always positive. It's so positive, and I look through it and just go, "Oh, that's sick. That's lovely." Like Facebook is one social media app I go on and just go, "Do you know what? This isn't actually depressing me at all. Like, it's really nice to look and see some people's lives and like what they're doing, because it's just so
more honest."
Yeah, it's just so much more honest. So much more like straight to the point. Like it just is, and a lot of people would disagree with me. But then I think people have different experiences. Like I don't use Twitter.
X.
It's not X. Wow,
stupid. That's not.
I don't use X. Or I don't use Twitter. Yeah. I only use it for football to watch. Because if I'm out, like I'm not watching the football, I only want to watch the goals of things, because I can't be bothered to wait until like all the games are done to watch highlights, so I just watch the goals. And yeah, that's the only one I don't use Twitter.
Yeah, I don't, full stop. Facebook, I think what I found is like people don't care how many people you've got added on Facebook.
Oh
like,
no, that's the best thing about it.
Yeah,
like it's
there's
not
no competitive.
It's not about like counts or how many comments or how many shares you can get. I think that's what Instagram's all about.
Oh, 100%. Instagram is a big competition. No, you're not being honest if you say that you don't compare people's following counts, people's likes counts.
Oh mate, I'd be lying to you completely.
Yeah, which is why like I on my personal Instagram have turned off seeing what other people's likes are, and even then I find myself going, oh, I could just turn them back on and like see how well that post is done. But like I was like, no, it doesn't matter. Like, what does it matter?
Mm-hmm.
Take the value from a post.
Yeah.
And when I think of like the Instagram for this channel, it's turned on then because I approach it more in like with a business attitude of like, comparing and.
But
like,
it does become your
analytics.
business, social media. Like my Instagram is definitely my business.
Mhm.
Like of who I am as a performer, who I am as a
Yeah.
who I want the professional era to see me as.
Yeah, I think that's true for like the world of musical theatre. Like having the social media, you do create a business around it because your business is you. Whereas to people who aren't performers, I guess that doesn't apply as much because they're not having to sell themselves through their presence online.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think it's a very good point. Back into the whole thing about like the best bits and people posting the perfect reality. Like if I were to reflect on my social media, I wouldn't say it's like completely fake. However, I wouldn't post things that aren't like cool, or the best bits, or that like aren't impressive. Like I only put things out there which I think are great, and I wouldn't show the real side of things. Like I post things of me tumbling all the time, doing like flick tucks and everything. But if you were to ask me to go down to the street or around the back of this place and to do one now, like I couldn't, because for me personally, I can't just do them yet. Like it's a mental block. They're not perfect. They're really rough, and it's great that I post videos of me doing all these flips, but that doesn't mean I can do them every time. It means I do them 1 in 10 attempts.
Everything has to be edited.
yeah, literally.
No, I am.
And I just take the best moments of all of these takes and recordings, and you put it out there, and people go like, "Wow, they can do all this stuff." But it's like, yeah, but like,
they don't do it every day of their lives.
Like what's reliable is if you can do it 8 times a week in a show. That's what's actually impressive. And when I see these people in Newsies or whatnot doing all these tricks, it's like you're able to do this on command, and that's like the impressive thing. That's respectable.
Yeah.
And sure, you can see people doing similar things on social media.
Yeah.
But could they do that in a show every day? Not many of them could. I certainly couldn't at the place that I'm currently in. So it's very true. Like people do just post what's best, and I guess when you talk about your mental health, it's just a comparison game. It's why aren't I as good as? Why am I not doing this? How does their life look so great? Would you say social media had a big impact?
Yeah, Snapchat in particular.
Yeah, and how did that impact like show?
Oh, I just thought everyone cared. I just thought everyone needed to know everything, and they didn't. Like they really didn't need to know everything, and I used it as a way. I almost used it as a cry out for help. Snapchat, especially stories, but it wasn't. It came across the complete opposite way. Whereas kind of like people didn't need to know how I was really feeling. Like the kind of not graphic detail, but like they got the vague picture. But they really just didn't need to know. And I had to learn that the hard way. Because people will step away from you. People will get sick of it. People do get sick of it. Because it's one thing to do it and it looks like a cry for help. It's another thing to do it and it looks like you're attention seeking. And you want people to talk to you. Because that's what it started to come across as. And that becomes really, really difficult. Because when people step away, you kind of don't know that you don't know that they think it's attention seeking, or they think you're just looking for people to bite onto your, to take the bite and speak to you. That is what was the biggest thing for me, I think. Well, one of the biggest things is that I overshared, and that is where things only got worse from that, which was such at the time felt surprising, because you thought people would want to help, and they actually, it's not that they didn't want to help, but as I said earlier, they don't want to put themselves at risk. And that's understandable. It really is. But, and it got me in some trouble. Like, it got me in trouble. And it was basically monitored, because it was just like, it got to a point where it was quite worrying. And some of the things were being posted or put out, just like people didn't become like, oh, are you okay? They like generally came concerned. Like concerned to the point where they were taking time out of their days to be concerned. And that's what feels like, think about it now, that's what makes me feel like awful. That I took people's time to make them read something that realistically, like, they probably didn't need to know, and then they had to think about that and how to deal with it. Like, that's a big weight. That's a big weight on your shoulders when you look back on it and go, like, you know, you worried. I worried a lot of people, and that's scary. Like, that's really scary.
Yeah. I think because with everything in life, it's a learning process.
Mm-hmm.
And I think because there isn't much available out there that can inform you on the best ways to share.
Yeah.
That as someone who is struggling, like, you're overwhelmed. And I'm saying this as someone who has struggled with mental health.
Yeah.
You know, my experience doing gymnastics took so much, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and not knowing how to share, and people handle it in different ways, and because there isn't really much resource like easily available,
Mm-hmm.
that some people bottle it up until it bursts, and some people, you know,
Some people
burst, and you just put everything.
Yeah,
you
some
don't know,
people
you're like, what do I do? Just
I was one of those people. I overshared because I always got told never to bottle it up, and I almost took advantage of that. But I see why people bottle it up.
Yeah, I bottled up until it.
But there has been times where I have bottled it up, and then it does just burst.
Yeah.
Into bad
That's
things.
facts.
Because whenever you bottle something up, it's only going to burst, and things bursting are not good. It is not good. It is not a good feeling. It's not a good experience, and that's why I don't bottle things up. But then you have to try and find the balance of not bottling it up, but then not oversharing.
And it's a hard balance.
Oh, it's
not
awful.
easy.
Yeah, there's not a perfect balance of it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying. I am. Yeah, because I've experienced the feeling of bottling up and it bursting out when you least expect it.
Yeah.
You know, when you're in your place where you think you're the happiest that you could be. You're like, you know, life is starting to feel like it's going in the right direction.
Yeah.
But one small thing and it comes out and you're like, I was not. Like, you also start to doubt yourself.
Yeah.
Is this real? Like, it's difficult to talk about. And so now trying to find that balance of keeping some of it to yourself, working some of it on yourself, but also sharing with the right people.
The right people to share with are the professionals. That is what I learned.
Mm-hmm.
They are the people who are there to listen. They are professionally trained to listen and give you advice. That is their job.
Yeah, it's something I've tried. I found quite difficult, and I don't know if that was it's my mindset.
It's daunting. It is hard. No, I completely get you. It is daunting talking to someone that you do not know about problems that you think they probably don't understand, and that is the hardest part of getting off of counselling. I know a couple of people who won't do counselling for that exact reason. Yeah. They do not want to talk to some random person about what their feelings are, and they don't want to talk. The counselling that I got from college was the best counselling I've ever had.
Do you want to talk about that then?
100%.
What is offered, and I think I've got some links to this area as well.
Well,
what the area has.
At college, we got offered free counselling, but you had to be on a wait. The wait list was quite long. I was lucky enough to get it in first year through to third year, so I did 3 years of counselling. And it was only in my third year, so I'd done first year and second year counselling on Zoom, and then third year counselling in person.
Was in person better?
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
I've only experienced it on Zoom, so that might be the reason.
Zoom is so difficult because when you get into a room with a counsellor, there is a certain atmosphere which makes you feel comfortable. When you're on Zoom, you are not sat in that same atmosphere because you are not in the same room.
No, I was in my bedroom on my desk on a Zoom call, and I don't know, maybe that's what's put me off slightly. I mean, I appreciate what was being offered and the knowledge that was imparted, but
I think you also have to have the right counsellor. You can't just go with anyone. You trial and error with counsellors, but you need someone who you know is going to... I was very lucky with college because the counsellor that I got given was the type of counsellor that I needed.
That's great.
And she was incredible. And she changed my life completely. She changed my life in terms of, like, I am not the same person I was in first year. And I'm not the same person I was in second year. And I'm definitely not the same person I was when I graduated. And that is because of her. Everything she said to me changed my perspective on life. She changed my perspective on a lot of other things. She gave me the tools to be able to deal with anxiety and panic attacks and really, really horrible, challenging times. And she gave me those tools and she saved my life, I think. And I say that quite profoundly. She saved my life on multiple occasions. And
do you mean quite literally?
Quite literally.
Yeah.
She is probably, apart from my mum and family, she is the most incredible woman I've ever met.
Wow. That's what you want to hear, I think, when you're talking about...
She is. I mean that with my whole heart.
Yeah.
I really do. Because I just didn't have the best time at college. And a lot of it was self-inflicted. A lot of it was self-inflicted. A lot of it was generally because I just wasn't mentally very well. Like, it was like being physically unwell on your brain for like 4 years. But it wasn't a physical illness and you couldn't just fix it. It wasn't just fixed. It kept coming back. And that is why mental health illnesses are so difficult. So difficult. Because you just, like, you know, physical injuries are like, they're not easy to recover from. Like, you know, some of them you can't recover from. But some, you know, there's always a way out of it. With mental health, everything changes. Everything can change at the flick of a switch.
And I think so much research has been done into physical injuries. Like, you get something, you can go and talk to a physio or whatever. Like, you can have an understanding of what's happened and what needs to be done. Very clear. It's very, like, matter of fact. This is what you've got, or this is what's developed. Here's how you do what you do going forwards. It doesn't work like that.
Well, yeah, like, you know, you get diagnosed with stuff like, I've got social anxiety and I got diagnosed with depression when I was 17. And I only got diagnosed with social anxiety in 2021. And that was because I didn't know what I was struggling with, because I wanted to find out. Even now, I still don't know what some things are. And sometimes I blame it on social anxiety and go, yeah, it's just that. But sometimes it's generally not. You know, like, I'm trying to put a label on it is so difficult. Like, you can't really put a label on a lot of things for mental health. You can say what it's like and what the feeling is kind of like, but you cannot label, like, I think the only one you can label is depression. Because there are quite clear and obvious signs that you have depression. And there are quite, you know, whether it's mild or major or like, there are quite clear and obvious signs. And I think it's the same with anxiety. But no, it's, you know, I only found out, 2 years ago that it was social anxiety is what I had. And I didn't even know what it was. And then you kind of go away and do your research. And I looked at it and I just remember going, oh yeah, I do that. Yeah, I do that as well.
What was some of this?
It was like not liking like being in big groups. I would say that's kind of like not the case for me, but like big groups, like I'm not a massive fan of. Worrying about other thoughts. Like a big thing with me is I care too much about what other people think. Like, for example, like every single day, like this is what makes it so difficult, and this is what made uni so difficult, because every single day, not only are you going in and doing all the work and doing like that, it was also fighting this off. It's like every day at uni you'd go in and, you know, you'd think, I'd always be thinking about what other people think about what I'm doing every single second of the day. You know, I've just got up and had a sing. What does that person think? I'm sat on this chair by myself. What does that person think? I've just started walking towards this way. What does that person think? Every single move I made in my life, I was always worried about what other people were thinking of me and what other people were saying about me. You know, some people didn't even care.
That's what I've started to realise.
It is a musical theatre thing sometimes, but like every single day of my life, I'm thinking of, you know, if someone makes an action, if someone does something, like so it could be the simplest thing of not even talking to me, even though I haven't asked them a question. I go home and like, did I say something wrong? Did I do this? Did I do that? Did they dislike me? I wonder what they said about me when I left. I wonder if they said this. I think about that every single second of every single day.
Mm-hmm.
That is how my brain works.
Yeah.
And that is so tiring. So tiring. And it's like, I'm lucky enough now to have the tools to be able to go, oh, it doesn't matter. But when I didn't have the tools to say it didn't matter, it really affected me. Really badly. And that was not nice, because you just can't get out of that.
Yeah.
You cannot get out of that feeling of just going, because I just used to sit and dwell on it. I'd sit in my room and just be like, do they really mean that? Or they said this, do they mean that, or was it a joke? And you just can't, you forget how to differentiate what people actually mean, like when they speak. Going back to the social media thing, like texting is the worst thing.
Yeah, you can't understand.
There's no emotions in texting, and you never will be able to understand. But like, I like to read people. I do it by default. I try and read people, and it's not great because I always get it wrong. Okay. Some people I get right, but no, I get it wrong all the time, because you just sat there worrying, and it's just a constant worry about like different things and other things, and just like even people, like it got to the point with me, like even people on like the train, I'd look at them, and if they like look back at me, I was like, I wonder what, have I done something wrong? What was I thinking? And you'd walk around in public just scared. And just that's just the way I thought, and it's technically still the way I think. And I have done for the last kind of 5 or 6 years. I've been like it my whole life. I really have. And it got worse because you get older and the stakes get higher of what people are saying or what you've done, because when you're older, you can say stuff which completely changes the course of your life. When you're a kid, it doesn't really matter, I don't think. You know, when you kind of turn 18, you say things that, you know, to people or about things that can completely change the course of friendships and relationships and things that can change your life. And that's what social anxiety is really. And it's not nice. And you know, I find a lot more people now coming to talk to me about it, because a lot more people are starting to struggle with it, because social elements of life are so difficult nowadays. You know, you have to be so careful talking about everything now.
Yes. Yeah. And
that's not like that's not throwing shade at anything or anyone, but it is true. It is true. It is true. And you have to be so careful with opinions and stuff, and that's why I've just kind of learnt to be quiet on things like Instagram and social media, especially on Snapchat as well, because people have opinions and people will want to tell you them whether you like it or not. Yeah.
You mentioned tools help that
you
could use. Where if people are wanting, because obviously tools might work differently for you, and different tools might work better for other people. If someone was wanting to kind of look into what some of these were, where would be the best place for them to find them, to look at?
Yeah, I think generally you have to speak to someone in person.
Yeah.
Because they're the people that are going to be able, you know, like therapists spend their life being able to try to read people and understand people. You have to speak to professionals so they can understand who you are. And once they understand who you are, they have the tools to be able to put it in place on how, because they've had experience. They've got years of experience of just like using it on other people and seeing it success or fail. Yeah. And they know, I think generally, like, do not read Reddit, do not read Twitter, do not read Facebook, do not read Instagram. I think when you're posting stuff about it, like about kind of other people, you know, that's for them. That is tailored for them. That is tailored for a specific group of people or a specific person. Like, I think just like, or TikTok, you know, I think TikTok's, you know, it's massive now, but things that I read on TikTok of just kind of like, you know, just like, I've read some like things that I just go like, that's for you. That's great for you. Like, it works for you. But don't spread that image on other people, because it might backfire heavily. And it will, because if someone tries it and it doesn't work and they struggle with mental health, it will backfire rapidly. And stuff like that with tools, like, you know, I like to keep all my tools quite close to my chest, because I wouldn't want people doing what I do to relax myself and then going, it doesn't work. Because then that makes me feel bad to go, oh, it doesn't work, but it works for me.
And it's different for everyone, yeah.
Everyone's different.
I think for people from college who are watching this, because you know, our audience is, a lot of it is made up from people who do go to college. Obviously, we know the college provides counselling and help in that sense. However, there are a few more support groups that are kind of local to this area that I've got here that I can mention, and we'll link them as well. Yeah. So Talkline is one that's national. If we were to go into ones that are for this area, Mind for better mental health. That's a service in Bexley. It's an IAPT, which stands for, well, that might not be the actual, Improving Access to Psychological Therapy Program. There we go. And it's a recovery college, so that's in Bexley. Reinstate, Opening Doors to Your Future. Find this on bexleylocaloffer.uk. Help in Crisis. That's very much linked to Bexley, Bromley, Greenwich. There's one here. We're back to Mind again, but it's Mind Cafe, Crisis Cafe. Talkline is the national one. And then Shout. I don't know if you've heard of Shout. It says it's here to help you 24/7, and you just text Shout to 85258. So that is text Shout to 85258. And it can be daunting.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It can be nerve-wracking and scary, and I don't like doing it myself. And I'm always trying to find ways around it, trying to avoid it or to...
I've used the Samaritans. They were good. I was surprised with how good they were. Yeah. Because they're such a... well, that's not it, but they're quite general. A lot of people use the Samaritans. But their therapists are really good. I was quite surprised because I didn't think the help that I needed I could get on there. And when I called them, I did. And I was like, okay, right, I can call you. I knew if I was in danger, I could call them at any time. And that was that was brilliant. That was so good. That was so good.
Yeah.
No, they were really, really, really good.
That's really great to hear. That's really great to hear.
No, yeah, I recommend Samaritans to everyone.
Yeah.
Anyone that I'm like, if you're ever in an emergency, if you ever feel like this, call them. Because if you ever feel like you've got no one to talk to, they are there to talk to you, because they're not anonymous. They tell you their name and stuff, but they are anonymous people that you can literally just talk and they will listen. You know, I think their motto is "You talk, we listen," or something like that. And they genuinely just sit there and like just want you to talk to them, and it is really good. And yeah, I've used them a couple of times.
I think that's what people need. I think people just need to be able to talk and just have someone to listen. You don't necessarily have to discuss it, go deep into it, but very basic. Having maybe an agreement with someone, with a friend. Just have the initial conversation with one of your friends who you feel comfortable with. Can we set up this agreement where we will, when we need to, talk to each other and just listen?
Yeah.
And and just do that as a basic, because any analysis or like let's think about this needs to be done by a professional.
Yeah.
But the talking, because you can start to realize so much yourself just through having the conversation. I find myself through anything, not necessarily related to mental health, but whenever I'm talking to someone about something in great detail, I'll start to realize other things that I think about it just because I've had that conversation.
Oh
and
yeah.
it's not been
That is a lot
bottled
of the
up in my
thing
head.
that my counsellor, what I did with my counsellor, I'd speak to her about the problem, and I found myself speaking about the problem in different ways, and other things that are actually affecting it, but why it is the problem, and we got to always got to the bottom of it, and that was what was good about it. To be fair, is like we always got to the bottom of what the problem was. It was just about how we deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that was what was good about it.
Yeah. Is there anything that necessarily didn't work well through your experience with finding kind of counsellors or having conversations?
Yeah. Yeah.
You talked about what has worked.
Like, as I said earlier, it is just finding the right counsellor.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there was another counsellor I had who I did tests with in 2021 because we were just testing, and I was lucky enough to get a private healthcare for it, and we used it on that. I'm finding out what was going on, and at one point there was this guy who did my assessments. He was really good. He was really supportive, really nice. Just let me speak and let me do the assessments, and then we spoke. And then I got another guy who the therapy was called CBD, which is cognitive behavioural
I've heard of it.
therapy. CBT, that was it.
Cognitive
behavioural therapy, which is what my counsellor at college said was the best thing to have. And I got this guy, and he was an ex-prison therapist.
Okay. Wow.
And I spoke to him, and he was almost too experienced, because I felt like I was just like, I'm not a prisoner. I've not done these horrendous things. I've not done this. I've not done that. Or like I've not had to go through that. I have my own type of problems. And he'd obviously worked in prison therapy for so long. He was so used to those type of people, I think. And I remember saying to my parents, I was like, I thought it was good, but like, I felt like I couldn't speak to him in a way that I'd speak to someone else.
Yeah. I guess like it's a very weird sentence, but feeling like not underqualified is a very weird way of putting it, but like
he was so experienced.
Yeah, you as a person feeling like I shouldn't be.
He told me who he'd spoke to before, and he listed off not names of criminals, but criminals of who he'd worked with, and I just went,
I'm underqualified.
I was like, no, I was like, no way,
yeah.
Because those, some of those people are really mentally ill, like really, really, really mental. And I'm not saying I've not been really mentally ill, but never on that scale, never ever. And like he must have heard it all.
Yeah,
he has heard it all, and I just felt like a bit of a small fish to him.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to be a small fish to a therapist. I wanted to be a big fish. I wanted to matter.
Yeah.
I wanted someone to think about how we could really sort it out. And it wasn't on him, but I just felt like it's just like my problems are way too small to the problems that you've dealt with. And I don't want, because I just felt that could go under the radar and things just wouldn't really be taken as seriously. And that wasn't his fault. And I'm sure, well, he probably is and still is an amazing therapist. But just for me, I couldn't work with him because it just wasn't me. And then, I still have I don't have a counsellor anymore. But like the counsellor, as I said, I found was the most incredible person I've ever met, and is the counsellor that I needed, and I got the help from, and was just, the best counsellor for 3 years that I could have ever asked for.
I did want to ask you about eye contact, and it's something that I've noticed throughout the course of this episode.
I knew this was going to come up.
Yeah. Is the episode in general or this question? Yeah. Eye contact, because I found.
Yeah.
And I don't mind, but I found you don't look at me.
No.
No.
It's something I've grown up with.
Yeah.
It is something I've grown up with, and Who noticed? Who else noticed it recently? My creative.
Yeah.
Noticed it when we were doing a play for the job I'm doing. And he was like, "You don't make eye contact, do you?" And I went, "No." And it is generally one thing I've grown up with. And it's honestly, there's not really a deeper meaning behind it. It's just like I grew up with it. It doesn't make me feel uncomfortable, but there are certain like things I'm just like, I don't know. I've always wanted to delve into it, but I've never been able to find the answer. Like in one of the shows, I have to look someone in the eye for quite a long time for this job. And it's just like, I just feel when you look at it's almost a hiding mechanism because I don't want people to know what I'm actually truly thinking or what I'm truly feeling or that I just want I've just grown up with it, and I know I look down. I know a girl who I used to go to school with, she looks up. Like it's just part of me. It's just part of me, and I've never really understood why, because I wouldn't say looking like eye contact is uncomfortable. Like it's not a horrendously comfortable thing, because sometimes I can do it. Like sometimes I can do it and just go, "Oh, do you know what? I'll be fine." But it comes in small, brief moments, because it just doesn't come very naturally to me looking people in the eye, and sometimes people find it quite rude, and understandable, but it is generally just not. I'm not being rude, and I'm not trying to upset anyone. It's just generally just something I'm just not very good at. Just because, I just haven't, and I've never really learned how to. It's almost like a fear, but it's not a fear. It's just like, it's just kind of crazy.
Yeah.
To explain, because I don't really know how to explain it. I just kind of like.
But it's there.
But it's there. Yeah, it's like having a twitch. I feel like it's my version of having a twitch. It's just like I can't look at anyone in the eye. But like. That's a very bad comparison. But like, it is just like, you can't. I know a few people like it, but just like it's just a thing for me that I've grown up with, and people I'm close with have just got used to it, and just kind of just notice it. But no creatives, like recently, a creative noticed it, and he was like, "You don't do it," and he was like. You kind of just don't look anywhere. You just kind of look. And I was like, "Oh, thanks. That's a really good explanation of what it is." But
I see what they mean.
One creative was like, "You look down, you need to look up into the audience." And the other was like you go to someone to interact with someone, and you don't look at them, but you interact with them in your own way. And I was like, you know what? That's a really good way of putting it. But like, it doesn't affect a lot. Like, in musical theatre, I'm actually alright with it if I'm looking up. Because I get to look up into the audience and I'm actually not looking up in anyone in the eye. But yeah, that's just just part of me, really.
Yeah. No, I was just wondering.
Yeah.
You seemed very passionate. It seemed like you had a lot to say about this topic that I think we're probably going to use as our ending topic, which was how diet and sleep affects you.
Yeah.
And I don't know, and maybe once you start speaking about it, I'll start to think more about it. But on the surface level, I would just think with like general health, I'd just be like, it's good for you. Is there more to that?
Yeah, there is.
And what is that more?
The thing is, I've had a big relationship with food. I think I'll start with food. I've had a big relationship with food because before I kind of took musical theatre seriously, I used to be really skinny. I used to be a 400-meter runner. I used to run 400 meters at quite a high level. I got to go to things like nationals because of like times and stuff. And I was competing at a really high standard for my age up until I was about 17. And I played football and I played rugby, and I did all of this sport. And I was just so skinny, and it wasn't I didn't have any muscle on me either though. I wasn't like a big lad. Like I was very, very lightweight, skinny, thin. I didn't really have much on me, because like I spent 2 times a week training athletics, 1 playing football, 1 training, 2 training rugby, and 1 playing. So I was doing kind of football, athletics, rugby 7 days a week, and plus doing PE at school, and just other exercises, like, you know, I used to go on runs and stuff like that. And then COVID hit.
Yeah.
Everything from me went downhill when COVID hit. But I don't have stress-induced eating or anxiety-induced eating, but sometimes I think I do. You know, and I'm a spender as well. It also comes with a money problem as well. I spend a lot of money on food, or things that realistically I don't really need to buy, and a lot of the time it was food. But like a lot of the time, I got a job at my first job in COVID was at a Tesco's, and you know, I used to have a packed lunch, but when I went on my lunch break, I'd buy a meal deal and donuts and just all this crap, and then on my tea break, which was half an hour, I'd have my packed lunch. So I was having 2 lunches a day and then having dinner when I got home, and I was just eating so much because I couldn't train. I didn't want to go out of the house and do running. I didn't want to go out of the house because I wanted to stay home and stay safe. And that's when it kind of got into me, of just like laying in bed until 2 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And I became really unfit. There was a time, kind of the first year of COVID weren't too bad. It got quite bad kind of back end of last year till about 5 weeks ago. I remember how much I weighed 72 kg in 2019, maybe 2018.
Okay.
I weighed myself, I think, 7 weeks ago, and I was at 97 kg. And that's hard. That's really hard. And it's almost like I went through a second puberty, but it also was, I was just eating so much. And when I wasn't eating so much, I was eating the wrong things. Because, like we said earlier, like, you get home from uni, you don't want to cook the right things, you want something that is going to be quick and easy, you can sit and just do nothing. And I ate a lot of takeaway and a lot of bad stuff. And there were also other factors of just like, you know, habits that I used to have that I don't have anymore, but like that got me eating. And I just got into this spiral of just like losing track of what I was eating. And it was about 7 weeks ago when I got this job, and I looked at photos from my graduation and I went, I've got to sort myself out. So I think in the last 7 weeks, I've calculated, I'm down to 89 kg now. So I've lost 8 kg in 7 weeks by eating the right things, by tracking my calories, by going to the gym, by doing this and that. Because generally I wanted to sort myself out. And yeah, like I don't look horrendously different, but I look a lot better than I did at graduation. There are a couple of factors that were affecting my eating kind of back in the last year and this year, and that were really difficult because I was eating because I was stressed, and I was eating because I thought that would make me feel better, and it didn't. But yeah, I've finally found kind of a better relationship with food.
That's good.
And I'm still working on it really. You know, kind of still losing weight, and trying to lose weight while also trying to keep myself okay. Like there's sometimes like the kind of gym work's kind of stopped now because of rehearsals, because I really just don't get time. And on my day off, like today, like obviously I knew I was coming here, but like I could have gone to the gym in the morning, but I was so tired because I've done so much rehearsal, I just want to sleep in. Yeah. And I find that quite good for myself to kind of go, do you know what, I'm just going to do nothing today, and then when I do need to go do something, I will go and do it.
I think that's so healthy though, being able to allow yourself to be like, today I just going to allow myself to rest.
It can be very unhealthy though. It really can be. You can spiral into not doing anything. and
Mm.
yeah,
Yeah, it's a balance then.
it got it was bad. It was really bad. But yeah, like I just kind of the last 3 years I had a really difficult relationship with food, and I still do, and it's because like everything tastes so much better when you buy it, like especially from like a corner shop. You buy a pack of hoops, it tastes so much better when you've paid £1 for it. Whether instead of like your mum's actually bought a bag of hula hoops from like Tesco's or something and brought them home, like everything tastes better when you pay for it. It also became an addiction, which is such a weird thing. Like eating and buying food became an addiction for me, and I didn't recognise it because I didn't think it was a real addiction, but it truly, truly is. And it was really, really, really hard to get out of. Really hard because I didn't recognise it, and I was a bit like, "Oh, it's fine, it's fine." And I just lost myself over time to the point where I got to 97 kg, and I just went, "Oh Christ, I really have, like, really have got a problem here. Got a really bad problem on my hands." And that's when I wanted to sort it out. And me and my mum kind of did it at the same time. What's nice with my mum is that me and her kind of were having the same kind of thoughts of like, we really should start going to the gym, or we wanted to do more exercise because we just felt like in kind of the back end of this year we were like, we kind of want to just get into it. So my mum inspired me really, and my mum still inspires me because bless her, like she gets up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go to the gym, and then does 2 gym sessions a day whilst also going to work at school. She works at school, and like she is the biggest inspiration to me. My mum's my best friend. I speak to everything with my mum, and even my dad. Like my parents are my best friends. And that's that is my relationship with them. Like I can talk to them about anything. But like my mum is such a massive inspiration to me because like she's really taken this kind of gym thing, like really. I'm not saying I haven't taken it seriously, but she is like smashing it, and I've never, I'm so proud of her, and like I look up to her a lot when she wakes up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I'll have to wake up at 6:30. She's already been to the gym, come back, had a shower, and ready to go to work, and I'm still in bed, and I'm like, "Mum, what you doing?" She was like, "Oh, I've been to the gym." And I was like, "Oh, okay, right. I haven't even thought about going to work yet. So, can I go back to sleep?" So, but no, like I had a bad relationship with food. It's getting better.
Yeah.
But you can really hit downward spirals with food, and it's really, really hard to get out of. But yeah, it's just like, you kind of have to make sacrifices. I think I went from eating 2,200 and something calories a day, 2,200 to about 2,500, and now I limit myself to about 1,650.
I've never tracked calories. I
tell you, mate, it's the best.
I struggle putting it on, to be honest.
It's the best thing to do.
Yeah.
It really is, because I became so obsessed with it by going, can I have this in, say, a sandwich? Can I have butter in my sandwich? Probably not. I'll just have it with like a sauce or something, which is less calories. Or like, I'll make like put some sauce in. It just became a lot. I became so obsessed with it that I was like, oh, I've still got 400 calories to eat and it's 7 o'clock. But then I thought like, I can't eat that now because it's too late. So like there'd be days where I was only eating kind of 1,300, and it does sound unhealthy, but it was because I'd cut out all the snacking. I was eating at the right times. I was fasting to the point where I wouldn't eat breakfast and I'd go straight to lunch, and I'd just eat lunch and dinner because I just hit the ground running so hard. I was like, I need to lose this weight, and it became almost like a crisis for me of just like, I need to sort myself out before I go on this, before I go and do this job, because otherwise like. It's just going to get worse because the stress will just make it worse with this job. And luckily I've been able to kind of get to a place where I'm happy now and go, do you know what? Like, I'm happy with my appearance, but like, as we said earlier with social media, just like appearances and stuff like that. But like, that is why my relationship with food is completely changed. Because I just wanted to get fitter, and I wanted to be better, and I wanted just to better myself, and that was the way I wanted to do it. Like, that is how I thought bettering myself was going to be, and it's worked. I'm a lot happier, you know, eating less and going to the gym, and, you know, making a couple of decisions in life where I'm just kind of like, do you know what, was a tough decision to make, but I feel so much better for it now, and I'm able to kind of like live life in quite a positive way that I haven't done for so long, and it's really nice now to kind of been able to break that relationship with food, but you've also got to be really careful with it, because you can very, very easily slip back into it, and you can very, very easily, you know, I'm quite lucky with my metabolism. I can lose weight as quickly as I gain it. I almost gain weight quicker than I lose weight, which is quite normal for everyone, but I can gain a lot of weight in a short amount of time, and I can also lose a lot of weight in a short amount of time. And if I eat the wrong things, or I start eating stuff, within a week I can put on a lot of weight, and then I have to try and lose it again, which is the hardest thing, because it's not just the physical strength, it's the mental strength to go, you know, I need to go to the gym, I need to go and do this, I need to go up early in the morning, I need to go for a run. That's a big hurdle to get over, and you know, you just like fighting against your own body, and it's really weird, but it's you know, it's the best thing. It's the best feeling, and it's such a great outcome. I remember weighing myself this week and hitting 89 kg, and it's the happiest I've felt in the last 4 years, because I just went, you know what, I set myself an achievement, like a goal. My first goal 6 weeks ago, I want to be under this weight. My next goal is to get down to 85. But I was like, I've completed a goal already. It took me a bit of time. It took me 7 weeks, but I've been going to the gym, and I'm really proud of myself. And there are the small wins in life that kind of have helped me recently, like focusing on the small wins, and just being like, you know what, that's a really positive win for me, and I'm finally giving myself credit for it, because when you're kind of stuck in that mental place of just like depression and being upset, you kind of forget just small wins. And people, you know, when people give advice on things like Instagram or TikTok, they always say about take the small wins, but it's so easier said than done. You know, it's just like, oh, I remember, it's a big one, and I know it works for some people. It doesn't work for me, but it works for some people. But it's like, you get up in the morning, you've made your bed, that's a small achievement. And I'm kind of just like, yeah, but that achievement lasts for 3 seconds for me. I've made my bed. Now what do I do? And it's just like, I just never understood those type of achievements. Just like, you've been able to go downstairs and make yourself breakfast, because at that point you're just rewarding yourself for actually functioning like a regular human. And I'm not saying that's not a good thing, but like, if you keep, you know, if you keep recognizing those small wins, everything in life is a win for you, and just like, it becomes really hard to take a loss, because everything's just winning. You know, I made my bed, win. I made my breakfast, lose. Like, a win. But then you're like, oh, but I haven't gone out. You know, you look at yourself and you just kind of haven't gone out of the house today. I've missed quite a big win I could have had there, because all the small wins start to add up, and you start to completely forget about kind of your concept of what actual winning is.
It's interesting. It's really interesting.
But it works for some people, and I fully respect that. You know, if people can be like, you know, I got out of bed today, I made myself breakfast, then you know what, that, as we said earlier, it is way people's cope with it, and every way is different. But this way just didn't work for me, because I just couldn't. I'm not very good with sleep either, which was the other question you kind of asked.
The next point.
I'm not a sleeper. I know that sounds really weird, but I'm not. I'm very bad at sleeping.
Do you go to bed too late?
Yeah. I eat
think
before bed. I play PlayStation before bed. I'm not very good at sleeping, but it's all self-inflicted.
Do you want to be better?
Yeah. 100%. I want to be able to go to bed at 10 and wake up at 7 and not feel kind of like I've pulled myself out of bed. There's some days where I can go to bed at 12 and wake up at 7 and feel absolutely fine. Mm-hmm. I found drinking helped it a lot. I found drinking alcohol.
Okay.
I found that was a big element of why I lost sleep. I think when you know, we said it earlier. When you turn 18, it's kind of like everything's a big party. Everything, you know, you want to go out every weekend. You want to do this. I know I was one of those guys, but I took that a bit too literally, and it really affected my sleep, and I've never recovered from it because I drank a lot, and it ruined my relationship with family members and friends, and a lot of people. But it is a really bad factor. I think alcohol is quite possibly the worst thing to be addicted to.
Well, it is also just poison. That is what alcohol is.
It's just like every alcohol you drink reacts with your body differently. You know, like beer I'm okay with. You know, red wine is a weird one for me. That makes me sound so posh. Like, oh yes, red like things like wine I'm okay with, but things like spirits. I just remember starting to drink loads of spirits. I don't know why, but it just like I started to drink loads of spirits, and that's where it got really bad. But alcohol was a big factor in my sleep, and it still is in a way. But to be honest, like I'm not as a heavy drinker as I used to be. I still drink, but like on occasion. Like I do drink, but like I found a limit. I think
That's good.
I found my limit. Whereas when I was 18, I didn't have a limit. I'd get blackout drunk, and I think I found my limit. There's still sometimes where I can't, and it's still a learning curve. But I think kind of, you know, alcohol and drugs and things like that have massive effects on your sleep and how you sleep.
Yeah, no, they do.
I think sleep is such an interesting thing, because some people, like, I look up to people that say, "Oh, I can just go to bed and fall asleep straight away." I don't know how anyone does it. I can't. I sit in my bed because I saw a video the other day. I remember it saying just like some people when they go to sleep, their mind wakes up. My mind starts doing, 400-meter sprints. Like it will go for hours upon end thinking about things that won't really matter, and it's mainly based on my social anxiety. But my brain wakes up when I go to sleep, and I start thinking of things that, I never would have thought of, and things that I thought I was over. I start going, oh Christ, that's just popped back into my memory. I'm a very kind of like, my brain is very active when I sleep, and that is because I just don't sleep enough.
I think a lot of that is contributed to how you set up going to sleep. So this links into alcohol, but very simply, and this happens in everyone's day to day, whether you're on your phone just before you go to bed.
Oh yeah.
And the screen and the fact that your eyes are consuming, like you're stimulating yourself. And I am culprit to this. I try so hard. I'm in a battle in my life at the moment with making sure I sleep right.
I got to the point. Well, I still am at the point. I've given up trying. I think
never give up though. No, but it's a battle. You should always, because it's so important.
I know
it's so important. It's how you get through your day.
Sleep. I drink so much caffeine as well. That's my problem.
Yeah,
I drink so much. In these rehearsal days, I'll go through 4 or 5 coffees a day. It's so bad. I'll be bouncing off the walls. It's awful. But like, even those type of things, like caffeine is so detrimental for sleep. And I remember when I worked at Tesco's for the second time, most recently, I was drinking 2 energy drinks a day. Those things are full of sugar as well, but they are literally just, full of energy. They're full. What are the things that they put in? Caffeine.
Yeah, caffeine.
Well, literally,
sugar,
we're just talking about it.
all sorts.
It's full of caffeine. It's literally, you're just drinking pure caffeine, and it's ridiculous how much, like, people get addicted to those things. But you can be addicted to anything nowadays. But no, sleeping just like for me just isn't my strongest point, and I just sometimes, like, I go through periods where sometimes I'll have great sleeps. Like recently, being at rehearsals and being active, like I've been sleeping really, really well. Because I get home, I'm knackered, and I know when I want to go to bed because I have to wake up early tomorrow morning. other times when I was like doing nothing, not having to wake up, I would stay awake till 2, and then I wouldn't get to sleep until 4. And that just screws with you, because you like you forget how important sleeping is to your body. Like I've started recently because I sometimes finish really late at night for rehearsals. I like my mum's like, do you want me to save anything? And I was like, Mum, I won't be home until 11, and I'm not eating at 11 o'clock because I will not get to sleep. And then because that food goes into your body and you're not doing any exercise, you're sleeping, like it will just store and it will sit in there. And it's not a good thing because it will keep you awake.
There's another thing. So I was saying about screens, food is, because I've looked into these things, like food is another massive factor. If you eat just before you go to bed, your body's trying to digest it, but you're also trying to get your body to turn off. And it's like there's a big battle there. So you could give yourself 8 to 9 hours from the time you getting into bed until when you need to get out of bed. But if you've been on your phone, if you've had any sort of alcohol, if you've eaten food, your body's going to spend the first bunch of those hours actually trying to, settle.
I'd say I was addicted to food worse than I was addicted to alcohol, and that's a really weird thing to say, but I got addicted to eating and eating bad, and it changed my appearance. It did, and I like to think appearance doesn't matter to me, but I am really, really self-conscious, and I'm really, really I've not been diagnosed with it, but like body dysmorphia is a big thing for me, because I always look at myself in the mirror, not for the fact I want to be like, oh, I'm looking good today, but the fact I can't get away from it, of going, it's a formality of going, do I look good today? Like, do I look good today? Or like, oh, I look a bit fat in this. Do I want to wear this? Like there's some clothes I haven't worn in about 6 months because I think I look fat in them. And I won't go out because I then think everyone's going to call me fat, or everyone's going to be looking and going, he's quite fat. And that is another thing with my social anxiety that is horrible to live with, because I now can't go anywhere without someone thinking, does this person think I'm fat? Is this person going to make a comment? Is this person going to say something which I don't like? And like, it just, to be honest, one of the big motivators for me losing weight was my friends. And, we're all a group of friends, but, they will dig at my weight. And you know what? Like, I'm okay with it because I know they're joking. Like, that's a joke we all have. We all have our own jokes on our own people. My joke is that I've gained a lot of weight. But my big inspiration was I wanted them to stop. I wanted to show them that I can get back to it. And one of my really close mates, who I talk a lot to, he goes to the gym a lot, and well, to be honest, a lot of them do, and but one of them I'm quite in contact with my kind of like progress, and he's been so inspirational to me, because he's just been like, mate, you're doing really well, like, what's your next goal, what's this? And he did sports science. I think he did sports analysis, but he's worked at a leisure centre for ages, and he's really like knowledgeable about like the gym and like what to eat and stuff, and he's in terms of like going to the gym, he's really, really clever, and he knows what he's talking about when it comes to that stuff, and he's been really inspirational. But like, as much as they're like taking the mick, they don't actually know how far that's gone for me to actually sort myself out, and I actually, I thank them for it. I do look back kind of 7 weeks ago, and I was like, do you know what? I thank you for like taking the mick out of me and saying this about me, because I reckon if you hadn't started, I would have got bigger. And like, obviously there's some points where I'm like, I don't really like them calling me it, but I've got so used to it of just going, do you know what? I'm now going to use that as a tool to fight my way through it. And every day I still go, do you know what? I don't want them calling me that anymore, so I carry on. And like, they probably think, oh, Tom really gets upset when we say this, or that maybe they don't, but they know sometimes it might affect me, but it actually affects me in a good way. And that's not me saying I want them to carry on, but it's me saying, like, you know, they actually have done good instead of harm. And that is one thing sometimes about lads groups that really help. Sometimes taking the mick is actually a massive lifesaver. And, you know, they've actually got me to put myself back on track. You know, not in the conventional way of being nice about it, because just like they wanted to take the mick, and they've actually helped me a lot. And I respect each and every one of them. And you know, as I said, I thank them for, you know, almost taking the big mick, because I think deep down, I think they knew that it would spark something in me, and it has. And yeah, they've really helped me turn my life around, I think. And I know we spoke about it earlier, and like talking about like men's mental health. Yeah, we may not talk about it in kind of like the conventional sense, but like they've really helped me turn my life around the last 7 weeks. And, you know, I've stuck very closely with them, you know, whether it's over PlayStation or seeing them, you know, like even speaking to them on PlayStation, like for an hour every day sorts me out. Because like it's really nice to hear other voices and speak to other people. And especially if they're your friends, sometimes it just takes you away from what's happened in the day and just going, do you know what, I'm going to play FIFA with my friends, or I'm going to play Fortnite with my friends, and we can just focus on that for like 2 hours at a time and just go, do you know what, like we don't have to worry about anything, and, you know, anything we have to worry about tomorrow is tomorrow problem. But yeah, just like food is so easily, like you can go down downward spirals on food, and I've seen it, and I've done a lot of research on weight and you know, average weights, and being able to lose weight and how to do this and how to do that, and I've really indulged myself in it. But, you know, that came from my friends, and almost me wanting to better myself because I just wanted to be better for other people. You know, I'd spent kind of a year just kind of not knowing what I wanted to be, and then when I looked at what I was like, I'm not happy with it, and I don't want to be that anymore. And I felt like it was a bad version of me, and I just went, I want to make it better. I want to be a better version, and I think I am now. And, you know, like sometimes there's small recognition, sometimes there's big recognition. Some people don't recognise it at all, but I'm bettering myself to be better, and so I can look back kind of in a year and go, I know I'm a better person than I was last year at this time, and kind of go, I want to be a better version of what I am now in 2025. And I'm always looking to better myself. And, you know, this year was food. It was a big subject in my life this year. And, you know, coming towards the end of the year now, I finally found myself going, do you know what, I have a better relationship with him. It's taken a whole year, but yeah, it's got so much better. And kind of next year, well, hopefully whilst I'm away on this job, I'm going to really try and sort out my sleep, because I'm going to be working 7 days a week, and I really need to sort out my sleep. Yeah. And that's going to be a big thing for me. But, you know, it's always one step at a time. And those two things are two massive things in my life that I've had to deal with, kind of, especially in recent times. And yeah, it's just like, finally towards the end of the year, it's finally sorting itself out. I mean, Christmas is going to be difficult because, you know, everyone lets himself go for Christmas. I definitely will be. Like, that is the one time of the year I can finally go, do you know what, I really don't care. Like, but I know as soon as Christmas is over, I'll be back in the gym trying to get back to where it was, because that's what the motivation will be like. I pig myself out over Christmas. Let's go back into the gym. Let's sort this all out. And then, yeah, it's just like food is difficult for everyone, and food is different for everyone. And, you know, it's dangerous. It is really dangerous. You need to have, you know, people that, you have to be so knowledgeable on food and calories and know what you're doing and talking about to actually really succeed. And I'm still not that knowledgeable because I didn't study. I'm really bad at, like, not sports science, but like, it's biology, isn't it? And I really wasn't very good at biology. So just kind of like, yeah, it became really difficult. And but finally kind of coming to the end of the year, I'm finally looking at myself and going, yeah, I have a better relationship with food. And I'm stopping like stress eating and stuff, and that was a big kind of part of, you know, a lot of this year, like stress eating. I got stressed over kind of things that didn't really matter, and I was eating because of it, and I just had to kind of stop myself, and I have kind of in the last 7 to 8 weeks just kind of wanted to have a better relationship with food, and finally just kind of feel happy with where I am. And you know, when we were talking about like, this was a big win for me, and I just want bigger wins now, and that's all I really ask for.
Yeah, I think in regards to the sleep thing, if I was to say anything or give you any advice about it, it's just plan your sleep.
Mhm.
And I think that's kind of all I can say.
Yeah.
And then what I now want to ask from you, is to the audience, people listening. I mean, if you've listened this far, that is brilliant. I never say the whole. I always forget to say the whole subscribe and like thing. That was obviously an option for you to do. But is there anything that you'd want to say to the people watching? Any, I don't know, advice? Any just last kind of words?
Talk.
Yeah.
Talk. You cannot talk enough. You never can. You know, there's the saying of people can talk for England. No one can ever talk enough, I don't think. I think talking is a massive thing for everyone.
Yeah.
You know, and if you are sat there struggling and you feel like there's no escape, or there is no way physically out of things, then, you know, you just reach out, honestly. But this is coming from someone who's been there. You know, I know I'm only 22, but I have had a lot of experiences kind of in the last 5 years that I go, do you know what, I never ever thought I'd experience something like that. But honestly, like, talk. You know, like, I'm quite lucky, I'm very open about it, but you know, you have to find the right person to speak to. Or even if it's like writing stuff down in a journal or a diary, or making voice notes, or just like get it off your chest in any way possible. I use music a lot to get stuff off my chest. I write music. I use that as a method. But always listen to yourself. Always know what you want. Always know what works for you, what your interests are, what you like, and use that to your advantage. You know, like when I was struggling, a big thing for me was football. That helped me through it because that is what I love. I love football. But honestly, if I was to ever say one word to someone of like, how did you get better? Talking. And yeah, there's a lot of stuff surrounding who you should talk to and who the best person to talk to is. But I'd never bottle anything in. Never, ever, 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 ever. Because that is so dangerous for you and other people. And that's not me having to go at people that bottle things up. But it is just me going, I've done it. And I came out on a bad side of bottling stuff up. And, you know, and also, you're not alone either. That is a big thing for me. I always thought I was the only one struggling with these type of problems, and I'm not. I speak to a lot of people now that I've met who suffer with the same stuff, and do you know what? 9 times out of 10, you actually, especially with men as well, 9 times out of 10, you all feel the same thing. You all feel the same thing. And also just be aware, really. Like, I know kind of like group of lads don't do it, but like check up on your mates. You know, I read something the other day. It was like 10 times out of 10, you know, you ask someone, no, if you put 10 boys in a line and you ask 10 of them, all 10 of them, are you okay? And they say yes, I guarantee you 75% of them are lying. That's how bad the problem is in the UK. That's how bad the problem is in the UK. And I'd say around the world, but mainly my research comes off the UK kind of statistics. But 75, I'd say 75 to 80% of those boys are lying. And if you actually ask them again, they tell you a lot, which you wouldn't expect. But like, talk and talk to people, support people if you think they're down, or even if you just want to check up on them. Like, and I'm not saying never take "I'm fine" for an answer, but if someone does say "I'm fine," most of the time they're not telling the truth. And that's not me saying you should delve into what's their problem. You should be conscious that they are probably lying to you, but they probably just don't want to talk about it. And that's when you have to support your friends by not asking them specifically about it, but just being a friend. Talking to them, getting, it could be about the most random stuff. Talking is a big thing, and not enough men do it. And the statistics. I made a video last year, I think, and I can't remember the statistic numbers, but it was something like, it was like 30 men a day at one point commit suicide. It's on my phone. I remember, I have it on my Instagram. It was a video. Or was it on my TikTok? There we go. When did I upload this video?
You can put it against the mic if you want.
13 suicides a day. Men. 94 a week. It was something like. And then I think I said it was over the course of a year, 4,903 men commit suicide a year. And this isn't me like disregarding all mental health, because everyone that struggles with mental health matters. But that's something that just goes on, I remember sitting there looking at it, just go, why,
Was that worldwide or was that UK?
UK.
Just the UK?
I think it was the UK. It might be worldwide. I think it was, yeah. In 2018, 4,903 confirmed suicides were men. And I think if I remember correctly, there were 6,000 that year. It was something ridiculous, like 70% of suicide. No, it was 65% of suicides in the UK are men. And I don't know anyone that's ever talked about that. You don't see that on the news. That's that's a subject that should be broadcasted. Like, that's mental. It's mental to me that people just don't see a way out. And it's really tough because I've been in that position of not seeing a way out. And it's really, I look back on it now and it's a massive learning curve. But I'll never get to that point again. Never, ever, ever get to that point again. But like, I didn't get help at that point. That's when I started getting counselling. And that is because I just didn't speak to anyone about it. I didn't want to speak to anyone about it. And then it became real. And that's all I could say, really, is just talk. Is really just talk. Talk to the right people, though. Be conscious who you're talking about. But speak to the right people. Talk to the right... if you want to get professional help, find that professional counsellor that works for you, and be true to yourself. If it's not working with that counsellor, don't force yourself to go and do it, because it, just like with physical injuries, if your leg isn't feeling right, don't go and run on it, because it will hurt you even more. If you're not mentally right and you go and seek the wrong help, or you go and try and get the wrong help, or you're getting the wrong help and you keep going back to it, it will make you worse. And that is why I always say to someone, mental health is all centered around you and who is best for you. not, people are like, who's the best therapist you've ever seen? Can I see them? She's the best therapist for me because she was the best therapist for me, because she connected with me. She might not be the best therapist for you. She might not, because she might not not understand. She might not be able to help in that way because she might not have the experience with that. Whereas with me, she's had the experience. And yeah, it is just it's tough. It is really tough. But there's a light at the end of the tunnel, that's what I like to say. And luckily I haven't come out fully on the right side yet. But I see a lot of the light, and I don't sit there and now don't think about it and see the darkness. Like, I look out, I have a very more of a positive outlook on life than I ever have now, and that's all because, if you want to get better, do it for yourself. If you want to get better, you have to put in the work, though. And sometimes you've got to force yourself to put in the work. And when you put that work in, and I know we said earlier about kind of like sometimes you can't, and that is okay. But if you want to get better, you have to put some type of work in. Otherwise, nothing's ever going to come, and nothing will get given to you. Yeah. And yeah, it's just, it all works out in the end. I like to think everything is going to be okay in the end, whether it takes a day, whether it takes a year, whether it takes 10 years. I'm still, not that I'm not okay, but I'm still recovering. And that might be another 20 years of recovering. It might be another 20 days of recovering. I might wake up tomorrow and go, do you know what? Finally, I actually feel happy. I could wake up in 20 years and go, do you know what? I still haven't recovered from what happened when I was kind of like this age and what the experiences I had. Sometimes you don't, and it's different for everyone.
But you see a light.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's what.
There's a light for everyone. There is a light for everyone. And that's what I like to say to people. There is always a light at the end of the tunnel, and you always make it out alive. I like to think that.
I think that's a really nice place to end on.
Yeah.
I think this has been a super important, integral, useful, so many words I could put on conversation. And I honestly think, we all need to listen to this. Like, we all need to, share, this is a message. This is a conversation that is so important. It's not being had. And I think people need to hear it. So thank you.
That's all right.
Firstly.
That's okay. It's okay. It's been really nice. It's been an absolute pleasure to come on and speak to something so close to me and hopefully a lot of other people. And I do hope that what I do say is received, in a way, it'll come from the heart, and it needs to be kind of received in a way, just like this is me kind of saying this needs to be spoke about because it's not spoken about enough, and that it just, it's out there now, and I'm hoping this kind of gets more people to speak about it, because it's getting there. It's just not there yet.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Well, thank you everyone who have listened. I think conversations like this are what you can expect from what we're doing here. We have been the Movement Theories podcast, soon to be rebranded to something more appropriate to the type of content that we put out, because we don't really talk about movement anymore. That's not where my passion lies, and I don't think that's kind of a message that's useful or needed. Like, movement, that was its own thing. So yeah, thank you all for listening. Really, really hope that you've taken something from this, and I think there's a lot that you could have taken, and so I'm hoping that some value has been imparted or provided. So yeah, my name is Josh. This is
Tom Handley,
and we'll see you next week. Well, I'll see you next week. All right, goodbye.